Yeah.
Sync. Yes.
Ever since I had my eyes set on moving from the shorter distances to the marathon, running Boston has always been at the top of my list. In my mind, it's the marathon. The history, the fact that people train for their whole lives to qualify for it, and this year being the 10-year anniversary of the Boston bombings, it'll be even more special. I was here last year to spectate, and the Americans go hard. The atmosphere was electric, not only for the pros, but across the entire day. And then there's the course. The first half's downhill, it's a point to point, you have to overcome Heartbreak Hill and the iconic finish line. I can't wait to experience my dream marathon. So I started running when I moved to Sweden, Stockholm, in about 4 years ago now. And I started by going along to a local running club, and I basically fell in love with the sport. I started doing park runs, and every week I was trying to improve my time, like you do when you start running. And then I made the decision to move towards the longer distances. So I moved from the 5K up to the marathon, and last year ran my first marathon, and now come to Boston, and this will be my fourth marathon. And yeah, this one is sort of the dream marathon, if you like. I've always thought, always dreamt of doing Boston, and put it on a bit of a pedestal above all the rest just because of the history and yeah, just how iconic it is, and I can't wait to run it over the next few days. I think just as I got more immersed into the sport of like the social media, the history, and becoming a fan of elite athletes, seeing them come here to Boston to conquer such a challenging course. Every year it's different with different conditions. In 2018 it was extremely windy. I think it was probably the first year I watched it, and the conditions were horrific. Half the elite field dropped out, and then last year I came to spectate, and I just got to see how crazy the American sort of atmosphere of running a major world marathon on Patriots Day. It just looks like one massive party, and ever since that day I've thought, oh, I've got to do that myself. I think for me, the course profile is going to be the biggest challenge. All the marathons I've done so far have been completely flat, so I've got no idea how my body's going to react to sort of the Heartbreak Hill. After 13 miles, the course goes from being downhill to being undulating, and I think that's just going to be a real challenge, but I'm also really looking forward to it. I've heard that the atmosphere in these sections where it is really tough is crazy. So I'm hoping to have a blinder and just run up the hills as if they're not there. But that's the point where I'm most worried, but also most looking forward to, which is quite unusual, I guess. Yeah, so the last marathon I ran was in February, which was 7 weeks ago, out in Osaka, and it went really well. I had a good training block for that marathon. And then the opportunity to run Boston Marathon came up, and I was like, it's not quite the right time in terms of being able to put like a 12, 16 week block in. But at the same time, I couldn't pass on the opportunity to come to Boston to run my first world major. So yeah, I took the opportunity. Over the last sort of 4 to 5 weeks, I've banked some really good sessions. And one thing I've sort of focused on in this training block is trying to train with people that are equal or better than myself, especially over the marathon distance. And I spent some time out in Kenya, did 2 weeks at altitude. And yeah, from that trip, I learned that training solo, you can't always get the best out of yourself. Some of the best runners in the world train as a group. They do all of their running as a group, easy runs, recovery runs, sessions, fartleks. So over the course of this block, I've tried to immerse myself in that a little bit more, travel a little bit, head down to places like Battersea Park in London, train with some top level runners, and hopefully that has set me up for a good run here in Boston. Yeah, so a big part of racing for me is getting my mind and my mentality in the right place. And that starts for me in the night before with laying out my kit. I just like to know that everything's ready to go in the morning. So I put my shorts, singlet, my watch, all the gels that I need for the race, all laid out on the floor as a bit of a flat lay. It's great for the content side of things, but also good for my mind just to know that everything's there when I wake up. Say for a marathon, you have to wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning. I know that my shorts, my vest, my arm sleeves are all there, ready just to put on and head out the door as quickly and as efficiently as possible. So on the morning of a race, I hope to wake up feeling nice and fresh with all my kit nicely laid out so I can just go through it, get it on, get my backpack ready to take down to the bus. Boston Marathon's a little bit different, that it's a point-to-point course. So the start and finish line are 26.2 miles apart. So we have to go down to the finish line in the morning. I've got to get on a bus at 6:45, which is going to take me from central Boston to a very small village out in the countryside. Yeah, what's the little tiny village? Hopkinton, something like that. Hopkinton, it's called?
Hopkinton,
Yeah, it's a hard one to say actually.
Angie Brown.
My name is Samson.
I'm Heather. I'm also from Oregon.
From Louisiana, New Orleans.
Originally from Africa, and which this is a very great day for me.
My daughter is running her first Boston Marathon.
My son is running in the Boston Marathon for the first time.
So it's really cool that our friend qualified and got in.
So what does the Boston Marathon mean to you?
Oh, Boston Marathon means to me like kind of it's a very great thing, because first of all, running especially is like a medicine. I will support, I will encourage everybody to run. As much as you run, you'll stay healthy.
Is there a message that you want to give your son today?
All my love, congratulations, and so proud of you.
Very, very, very proud of you.
Yeah.
My Bridget, very proud.
My quote is that God bless everybody, God bless the nation, peace and love. Let's have unity and love.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Thank you, my brother.
so
I
much.
appreciate that.
Pleasure seeing you. Good
Thank
luck.
you very much.
Go, Ben! Let's go, Ben! Let's go, son! Come on! Yeah! Tipping it down here. Ben's just gone past. We're in Framingham at the minute. I'm going to try and go to Wesley Square, catch him up, jump on the train. Hopefully I'll get him. Looks like he's running smooth, having a good time, and yeah, hope he gets that PB that you deserve, man.
So when I'm actually running the marathon, I like to sort of zone out. So for me, in that first 10 kilometers, the priority is to get into a pack that are running roughly at the pace I want to be running at. With Boston being downhill in the first half, I'm cautious that I don't want to be going too fast and overcook it too early, because I've heard it can feel really easy in the first sort of 10 kilometers because it's all downhill. But in terms of the race, I like to sort of zone out. One of my techniques that I use to really focus in on the race and the pace that I'm running at is to look at the person in front of me's shoulder blades. So I'll literally just zone out and look at the shoulder blades, completely blank out everything, and almost go into a sort of mind state that's completely, there's nothingness. I'm not really thinking of like anything at all at that stage. And then later on in the race, when things get really tough, I like to think back to the training that I've done. So I take myself to that hard session that I did maybe 2 or 3 weeks before, where I pushed through and I managed to get the session done despite feeling really tired with heavy marathon legs. I think back to the why. Maybe it's a goal that I've got for the race. So for Boston, I'm hoping to run around 2:25. So when things get really tough, I'm going to focus in on being like, look, the goal is to run this pace, and you need to keep this up, otherwise it's not going to happen. And that will really help motivate me on in the later stages. So it is the day after the Boston Marathon 2023. Where do I start? What an incredible day. Literally was my dream marathon. We said it in the pre-race chat. Everything just went perfectly to plan. So when the gun went at 10 o'clock, I was on the very front row of the Boston Marathon in a perfect spot. Just before the race, I bumped into Kipchoge, gave him a fist pump, which gave me some good inspiration going into the first few miles. Half of the marathon was downhill, but I wasn't quite ready for how steep the gradient was. I think my first kilometre was around 3:10, so a lot quicker than I wanted to be running for my sort of marathon pace, but I just went with it, settled into a group and was feeling really good. Went through 10K, still with the same group, and I asked the guys in the group what sort of pace they were aiming for, and they said they were aiming for 2:20, which is a little bit fast for me. So at this point in the race, I decided to hold back a little bit, and that was actually when I saw Lewis. I just decided to leave the group that I was in and just try and find my own pace when the race the course sort of flattened out a little bit, and that was a really good decision. The Boston Marathon course is brutal, and the conditions on the day were far from ideal. We had a headwind, and it was really rainy, especially in the first sort of 10-20 minutes. We got absolutely soaked. It dried up a little bit towards the end, but yeah, far from ideal. But when we got to Newton at around the 20-mile point, that's when things got really tough. You go from going downhill into the Newton area, and then you have 4 really sharp inclines to deal with and overcome, and the last one being Heartbreak Hill. And I sort of had in the back of my mind throughout the whole race to save some energy for Heartbreak Hill. So when I actually got to the bottom of the hill, I still was feeling pretty good, which is an ideal situation to be in. In the last few miles of the race, my mind went a little bit blank. I was just proper in the zone. The crowd noise sort of just softened a little bit, even though it was still really loud. My mind just went to a complete sort of blank state. And it wasn't till we turned left from Hereford Street onto Boylston Street that I really let the atmosphere and the crowd sort of carry me to the finish line. I can remember turning left onto Boylston Street and giving the crowd the old egging them on, and yeah, the noise was electric. Across the finish line in 2:24, which was around a 4-minute PB. So I was over the moon, especially on that course. And yeah, this is the medal that I got when I crossed the line from the Boston Athletic Association. Pretty cool medal. Yeah, the unicorn, the classic icon of the Boston Marathon. And yeah, it was just an incredible day, one I will not forget in a long, long time. I'm also hoping that we'll be able to progress over the next sort of 2 or 3 years closer to that elite level in the sport, especially over the marathon. One of my long-term dreams is to run 2:18 and qualify for an elite place at London Marathon, which is one of the reasons why I haven't done the London Marathon just yet. So in terms of long-term goals, that's a real sort of motivator for me to be able to run London Marathon as an elite athlete. I just think that would be an incredible story, starting as a park runner at a local running club in Sweden to being an elite athlete at the London Marathon. So yeah, that's something that motivates me and continues to push me on throughout my sort of running journey, if you like. Come on! So that pretty much wraps up this mini documentary from my time here at the Boston Marathon. I just want to say a massive thank you to the guys at ProDirect and Adidas for making this happen, but also a big shout out to the man behind the camera, Lewis, and his big schnozzle. He did a great job filming with that Insta360, and I've had a great time. Let us know in the comments where we should head to next and what challenges I should take on. I've really enjoyed making this sort of mini style documentary, so make sure you engage with it, drop a like, comment, share it with your friends, and all the other usual stuff. But until next time, aspire to run, run to inspire. From the Boston Marathon, goodbye. You're zooming in.
I am so tired right now. Don't tell him what you're doing.
I'm getting a tattoo. Oh, how do I zoom in? I'm getting a tattoo, mate. Of the Boston Red Sox logo on my leg. I ran a marathon, not watched a baseball game.
There, B for Ben.
B for Ben.
What can we go through? B for Ben.
B for Ben. B for brilliant.
B for banana.
B for beaten Heartbreak Hill. Could be anything.
B for...
That's great.
Cool.
That was really, really good, Ben. Like you just natural.
Oh, good. Glad it comes across like that.
It's bring people together, because this is just a mixture of everybody. So here we are together, everybody is celebrating running. Yeah.
Samson,
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Nice to meet you.
Thank you very much for your
Yeah,
time.
you're a great guy for covering this.